Hey, and welcome to the Weed Out, where we weed out the nonsense and talk about the bullshit happening in our backyard. I'm Spencer Fox Peterson with my co-host.
Hi everyone, I'm Joanna Maybooty.
Joanna, how are you today?
I'm doing okay. As we were saying before we started recording with Danielle, this is like the exhaustion phase of the year where you start to settle into feeling a little cozy. So I'm doing well, but I'm tired.
Yeah, I'm tired as well. My busy season is over at my job. So now it's the scramble of how to stay productive. But that's neither here nor there. And just happy to be breathing another day. And at the time of this recording, we're recording on October 11th. Unfortunately, some major world news has happened. Um, and we're talking about the Israeli occupation of Gaza and terrorist attacks by Hamas. We're not going to talk about that here today, but as the weed out, Joanna, hopefully correct me if I'm wrong, but we stand with the Palestinians. Um, it doesn't matter who the oppressor is; the oppressed always deserve our support. And um, as abolitionists, it's really important to note the tactics of the Israeli Defense Force (IDF) is very similar, and they train with our domestic policing here in the United States, and they're implementing a lot of technologies that are used to make Gaza an open air prison. So this issue in Gaza where people are being killed daily, it's they're training with our guys. That's all I can say, and it's really these struggles are intertwined, and what they're going through is absolutely horrific and not okay and completely preventable. I don't know, Joanne, do you have any thoughts before we?
I always stand with the oppressed, and I will share my one of my favorite Jewish political commentators, Michael Brooks, who passed away a few years back now. Um, He has a wonderful take on this issue from, it's been going on for a long time and not this particular, you know, um, situation, but other the fighting back and forth and the issues with land. And I'll share that. And that is how I feel. So I'll share that for everyone. When you're the oppressed, when you're the less powerful, um, it's hard to it's hard to stand with the people that are the ones with all of the money and power. So I just hope that the citizens of each country who probably don't want to be involved in any way are able to find some sort of peace and solace. And I know that's probably not even possible.
We have to ask the IDF and the Israeli government to take the boot off the neck before they can negotiate. And obviously, as white folk over all the way on the other side of the planet, we have to let them speak for themselves, and we have to call out the fact that the bully in the room has a bigger pulpit and has bigger guns, and we give them a lot of that money to fund their quote unquote defense. I understand it's the Middle East is the conflict there is as old as humans, and the one thing that strikes me and really gets under my skin is seeing how people in America are talking about people living in Gaza and conflating them and using dehumanizing language, calling them vermin, subhuman, all the things. And what would you all have been saying if when Nat Turner led a slave rebellion? What would y'all be saying when the Trail of Tears happened? Would you be saying, well, they're savages? Because it's literally the same the same language. And United States, we've been through this many times, and what we do to our indigenous people here, it's similar. But our propaganda is really good. So, and a lot of that happened long before digital cameras. So, solidarity with the Palestinians, and uh, yeah, it's really hard to witness another atrocity in a long list of atrocities.
And that is why I like that we keep it local and focused on actionable things we can do in our local area, because I think if we get too focused on something like especially Israel and Gaza, which we have no control over, it can be really, really daunting and doomy. But today we have some of our friends from Decarcerate Western Mass Ballot Project with us. And they're talking about things that we can do in our own backyard, which I think is great on a positive note.
Exactly. So I would also like to welcome Danielle back. Um, and Decarcerate as a whole. Thank you for doing the work you're doing. And there's an upcoming election, so they're here to share some news with us. So Danielle, first of all, how
I'm
are
good.
you?
As I was saying before, I'm definitely tired. It's that time of year where my energy starts to dip, but that's okay. We're obviously very busy because we're in the midst of the signature gathering campaign. And there's just a lot going on. This is on top of our bail fund work that we always do. So the bailout project is holding down Franklin counties, and we're working with members of Neighbor to Neighbor who are kind of helping to hold down Hampden County. And joining me today is Tamik Kirkland, who is currently incarcerated at Sousa and is from Hampden County. And so he's one of the two folks who are currently incarcerated who helped start the No Longer 3/5 Coalition, which is the organization that's spearheading the current effort to collect over 75,000 signatures to end felony disenfranchisement. So Tamik, you want to introduce yourself and why you wanted to start this issue?
Hello, everybody. My name is Tommy Kirkland. I've been incarcerated for going on 14 years now, and the No Longer 3/5 Coalition. The idea was important to us, or getting this done was important to us because we don't have any representation for incarcerated people. We don't have anyone representing us in those offices, so they don't create laws or anything that protect us at all. So we go through hell in here, basically, from with everything from the water that we have to drink to how they treat our visitors, or dealing with our mail, or physical abuse, mental abuse, and we don't have anything to protect us. We don't have any laws. They don't have anything for us because we can't vote for them. So until we're able to participate in a political process, we're really not going to have any representation. So it's very important that we're able to fix these things. And if people talk about reforming, but how do you reform it? The people that's directly impacted by the system in this way are not able to participate in the political process that's made to reform things.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Very well succinctly said. You have support on the outside as far as the people on this call. So I hope you can take some appreciation for that, and also just that work is hard, what you're doing and what you're advocating for, and it's really uphill battle. So it's commendable and deserves recognition, but also not until y'all get representation. And just because someone's incarcerated doesn't make them less of a person, and they deserve a say.
Yeah, especially I think part of the thing that's this has been such a learning experience for all of us, right, Tamik, because unfortunately, as much as Massachusetts likes to kind of talk about itself as a blue state, as being really democratic, they make things like ballot petitions really difficult. Like, it's a massive hurdle that you have to overcome. So like 75,000 signatures between the end of September, end of November is a lot of signatures. Yeah,
It is a lot.
it's a huge amount, and we're
amount.
all volunteers, right? So like we're not funded by a foundation, organization, or series of organizations. And a lot of ballot questions, they actually have paid signature gatherers, right? So they actually like pay people to do this, and that's how they're able to overcome this hurdle, and we can't. So it's been definitely kind of like a learning experience for us. And I know but one of the things that's really been important is like, this is an inside outside campaign, right? We have folks inside who are just as involved as folks outside, who are in leadership roles. And a lot of the people on the outside are formerly incarcerated or have loved ones who are, have been incarcerated. And so, they're the driving force behind this, because they understand, again, to Tamik's point, it's like, you know, what happens to people who
Yes.
don't have political agency? You know, talking about kind of what's happening in Gaza, right? It's like there's a point at which you become vulnerable to all kinds of forms of violence. And unfortunately, right, it's like the state's not going to hold itself accountable. And so it's really, really important that people have some political agency. So that way, not only that are they determining which legislators are getting in, but you know, as constituents can call on their legislators and tell them that they need to be coming in because of what's happening in a prison. I don't know if Tamik, if you want to add anything to that.
Yeah, no, I agree with you wholeheartedly, and that's really what it is. And you see sometimes, and then things get out of hand in here because of how people are treated in a officials here create the narrative like it's something different because we don't have the protection, so people just lash out at certain points. It's like you can't take it anymore, and that's really what it is. We don't have anyone because I've seen excuse me, I've seen like the officers like have dogs biting dude while he's cuffed up, and they just drag him down, and the superintendent was right on the unit when it happened. The commissioner was actually in the building, and the commissioner is appointed by the governor. Like, so these are the people that's putting, we're not able to, we don't have a voice in this at all. So we can't say who the governor is to help us appoint a better commissioner or somebody that's going to change this or not witness what's going on and not say anything about it. Like, it was just, it's crazy up here. I've seen too much of these people beating with brass knuckles and plastic brass knuckles that officers have on their gloves. Like this is what was going on around here, shooting us with guns, with like the paintball guns or gassing people, knowing that they have asthma and things like that. That was going on up here regularly, and it still goes on. Since I've been down, I've seen it happen way too many times. And we don't have anybody is nothing with us. They take our legal work and even fight their cases, and they just do all types of inhumane. Some of the things that most of people are going through in here. Mental health is crazy. They don't have any programs for us. Like it's so many different. It's on so many different levels, and we don't have it back to. It's all back to representation, and the fact that we don't really have it. I mean, there are few lawmakers that try to come to help us, but because we can't vote, many of the other ones that we need to vote on bills that are being written and proposed, they don't vote on them because we can't vote for them. Mm-hmm. So it's just like I don't even know how to explain it any better than that.
I think you did a fantastic job of explaining it, and thank you so much for telling the audience about how horrific the conditions can be for people who are incarcerated. And I also think you made a fantastic point about if people are trying to claim that they want reform, how can they be doing that if they're going to deny you and our other neighbors and community members, family members from friends who are incarcerated. So thank you so much for sharing that, because I think that's really important for the audience to hear.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I have a question. Maybe either of you could answer, so feel free. If I'm not incorrect, the ballot question, petitioning with the signatures you need, they have to be registered voters.
Yep, so they do have to be registered voters. And there's lots of different kind of stipulations about the signature gathering process, or like how much, you can't have more than 25% of signatures from any one county. So there's like all kinds of qualifiers basically to this process, but they absolutely have to be registered voters, and they have to sign the petition of the town in which they're registered, not necessarily where they live, but where they're registered. So it becomes really easy. Like you can imagine if like someone's like, oh, I don't remember where I'm registered, I'm going to sign this one. People like, that's why you lose a lot of signatures. Like a lot get disqualified because people sign the wrong one, or it's like not legible, or you spill coffee on the petition. It's like, yeah. So there's a lot of like qualifying things that you have to kind of meet in order for just a signature to count. Yeah.
Right. And for me, it's like, I don't know. Voter registration should be automatic. So whatever. I don't know. This is all anti-democratic. And I know you're in a tough spot in being incarcerated, sir, but it gives me hope that there are people on the other side of the wall that are organizing and y'all talking to each other. And I guess what's the temperature with the people you're in there with about this particular issue? I mean, do you all talk about it, or is it? I guess I'm just curious about what the community is like.
Now it's becoming a more of an issue. People are being more politically aware these days, so it's more of a topic. And we had surveys that Danielle and them created that was passed around here, and a lot of people filled them out, and they want to participate in the process as well because they see what's going on, and people understand more about politics now. They understand how important it is because most of us probably grew up not thinking it much. I know I didn't. So I never really participated in the process myself because I didn't believe in it, honestly, and I kind of still don't like it. But what makes me want to be more of a part in it is because I realize that it's the reason that they're keeping me out of it, and I know now I understand how much it controls everything that's going on. So now I'm ready.
Yeah, and just real quick to add to that, just to be clear to folks who are listening who maybe don't know, people who are incarcerated on a felony sentence could vote until 2000, until Governor Cellucci then at the time initiated a ballot campaign to take away their voting rights. So if you're in jail, if you're incarcerated in jail, or if you're being held pretrial, you can vote. You can actually sign a petition, we just learned. So people in jail can sign this petition if they, want to help end felony disenfranchisement. But yeah, it's like, this is actually like Massachusetts took a step back, they didn't have to do this. But again, I think as Tamik has kind of said, part of the thing is like people inside are politicized. They're not, as much as the state or the public or all this propaganda wants to paint people inside a certain type of way. It's not true, and the reason that these voting rights were challenged so many times by the state, like there was efforts by the state to repeal felony voting multiple times before this ballot measure took effect. And it's always in response to political organizing inside, right? Always. Like people inside formed political action committees. They wanted to register people to vote. They wanted to do research on candidates and their positions on issues that mattered. And that's why the state took that vote, that right away, is because people were actually trying to exercise it. Yeah.
Right.
You have 1 minute left.
How can we help you, Paul? How can our audience help all of you?
I'll call right back.
Okay.
Yeah, call back. Yeah, that's fine.
This is the fun thing about. No, you're good.
Sorry. Nope, no problem. No problem. I totally remember.
Oh my God,
it's a nightmare to get the calls out.
And it's expensive. It's very expensive. Doing inside
so expensive. The no cost call thing gave me so much hope, and now it's just sitting and it's making me crazy. And I'm just like, oh my goodness, more Healy.
Yeah, sorry. But to me, this is all the same continuation of Jim Crow. I mean,
well, but it just doesn't need to happen.
Yeah, I know. And this is all, this is all steeped in our culture of white supremacy in the United States. And, we could talk about other places tomorrow, but we're the weed out, so we're talking local. But even in, liberal, progressive Massachusetts, there's sneaky ways to disenfranchise people, and changing the laws to criminalize people that are on drugs, as we've done, is a way to break up coalitions, a way to break up voting blocks, a way to destroy communities and families. Because make no mistake, when you get entangled with the criminal justice system, one bad action, legitimate or not, because we've seen the justice system gets it wrong a lot, it can really ruin your whole community, because there's people that rely on you, siblings, cousins, grandparents, the neighbors,
and being incarcerated, like we just heard and we know, is horrific. It's a horrible experience that I just feel, I just can't understand that they charge what they do for the calls. It just, in our state alone, it makes me crazy.
Yeah, and it's to really discourage folks.
The communication, and the connectedness. It
It's
keeps you isolated.
organizing, because then they don't even know there's people on the outside that care about them, that don't know them, or don't, I don't need to necessarily know everybody to feel that I don't think this system solves the initial problem for whatever reason people are in there, but they don't even get the comfort to know there's people out there fighting for them. They're cut off, and putting it behind an extreme paywall when if you have a job, you get paid pennies.
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I think the one piece too, though, with this is that things like, thinking about the cost of a phone call, right? Or just the way that it becomes difficult to make calls inside because you're waiting in line. You're in a phone line, right? Like there's multiple people who want to make a call, and that's if you're not on lockdown, right? But it's just
Right.
the difficulty of like being a parent of someone who's incarcerated, or a wife of someone who's incarcerated, or a child of someone who's incarcerated. Like legislators either know the financial burden that this puts on people, the mental stress, like the physical health effects of like loved ones with people inside actually lose time off their lifespan, right? Like either you know this and you don't care,
Right.
or you're just completely oblivious and not understanding the implications of your policy decisions. It's like, to your point before, Spencer, like this is wreaking havoc on communities, like entire neighborhoods that are, losing elders, right, to prison, and losing loved ones to prison. And then their families are also dealing with it on the outside. So it's like, it's not a discrete issue, I think, the way people frame it, just like in the same way, like,
definitely affects the community.
right.
All in the whole period, because even like while we're here, like they don't even prepare people to be productive when they're out. I mean, some people are able to do it on your own. It takes a lot of work because they put so many obstacles in a way that you just have to be mentally strong enough to jump over them and continue on a good path. But they make it hard for you to be productive, even inside. So and then they just let you back out, because people got to realize that most people in prison aren't doing life sentences.
Mm-hmm.
So most people are going home one day. So like you will want to have the programs and educational tools and trades or whatever that could help a person get on the right path when he come home, so he won't wreak havoc in the community. But if you just torture them for however many years, you lock him away or warehouse him, and then just let him back on to the community, I don't know what else you can expect from that type of situation. And that's like what they creating, because we have to understand that this is business for these people, and a lot of them help sponsor those legislators too, but or the system helps sponsor some of them. I would say like the unions and stuff, but it's business, so they want the recidivism rate high. They don't really want to help us to make sure that we don't come back to prison or be better for the community, because they need people to come back. They need us to come back, and they take us from those urban neighborhoods and put us out here in these suburbs so they could feed this economy out here. So you don't even have to go to college. You get your GED and come work up here and make $100,000 a year. And this is what they want. They want to keep feeding this machine, and that's really what it's about.
Yeah, and that's so dark and disgusting, and that is why we were so happy to have you on to talk about this 3/5 ballot initiative. And before we got cut off, I wanted to ask, how can we help on the outside? Like, what can we do? What can you let us all know as audience members, and how can I help in Hampshire? So it looks like Hampshire and Franklin County are being covered.
Yep.
By
So
you guys.
we're the bail funds the kind of point. I'm really the point person for Hampshire Franklin. So yeah, I mean, we're always looking for volunteers because, as I said, this is 100% volunteer effort. And so we need people who want to gather signatures, like, again, in places where there's registered voters, preferably places where there's registered voters who we know are going to be kind of progressive on this issue. All the polling data has showed that basically it's like younger people are most progressive on it, and then it get increasingly less so as folks get older. And so, yeah, we're definitely looking for people who want to collect signatures. If you have, if you're at a workplace where there's a lot of people that you think would be interested, or if you go to events and you want to, do a couple hours of signature gathering there, yeah, that's a huge need for us, is just the more people we have doing this, because, 75,000 is a lot, but if you if you can get 700 people collecting signatures, like we could absolutely kind of I think, get
Reach the
there.
goal.
Yeah. And so,
and it's gonna take work, and it's
Yep.
and the time is short now, so we only got 6 weeks left. So
mhm.
we really need help. We really need people to onboard people that or organizations that could help us reach this goal, because this is very important, not only for us incarcerated, but for the communities in general.
Yep. Yeah. And so if folks are trying to figure out like how to get
Absolutely.
involved or how to make contact, we have a bit.ly, which is like, bit.ly/right, and then the number 2 vote MA. We have a link tree, like, we have our No Longer 3/5 website. So there's like multiple ways for folks if they want to get in contact. They can reach out to the bail fund, Decarcerate, Western Mass Bailout Project, and we'll get in touch with folks who reach out that way too.
I believe
Awesome.
Neighbor to Neighbor has been
Yeah,
involved as
so
well,
Katie
right?
from Neighbor to Neighbor has been the kind of point person for Hampden County, and so their members have been really great. Like coming up here to Hampshire County to collect signatures, showing up at the Big E, which was apparently quite
Yeah.
the experience. Yeah, so yeah, and then there's other organizations like Justice for Housing is helping. This is one of their campaigns out in Eastern Mass and Boston. So we have like folks across the state. But yeah, we can just always use more support.
Yeah.
We will link everything on our website when we post the episode for everybody at home. Everything that was mentioned, Joanna will definitely make sure is in the episode notes. She's our rock star that does all the collating and stapling and the so thank you, Joanna. Just give her a peek behind the camera, behind the curtain. But all that stuff will be on the website, so that way if you missed it, it'll all be there for you to go. And if anybody has any questions, you can always reach out to Joanna and I, theweedout@gmail.com. We will do our best to network wherever y'all are looking to be networked towards, or you can find us on the social media and DM us, tag us, whatever. Well, we're pretty responsive.
And off air, Danielle and Tamik, I'd love to volunteer up here in Montague. So I haven't had a chance to let you know about that yet, but I'd love to get signatures for you. So I'll email you after we're done recording, and you've got me at least up here. I'm sure there's some other people we can
Awesome.
get together
That's
too.
awesome.
All right, that's definitely appreciated.
Yeah, no problem. I'm happy to help.
Yeah, and if you ever you sir have an open invite to come on the show to tell the community what's happening, and to give a perspective of the people we are advocating for. We need your voice and your comrades on the other side of the wall. We need your voice, and we need to make you all the humans that you are to our neighbors, because there's a lot working against people who are incarcerated. I'm not going to be sugarcoat it. And the propaganda and propaganda and the way we dehumanize people that are incarcerated, and make jokes about sexual assault and all these quote unquote features of prison, that are like pop culture references. It's really dehumanizing and fucked up, and we shouldn't wish that upon anybody.
Right.
And we find that part of the reason I have gotten to this point as a white middle class kid was because I worked in kitchens, and most of the people I worked with had been incarcerated, and I've been doing that for 20 years. So I've never been incarcerated, but half the people I've worked with have.
Right.
And at some point, or been part of CPS, or in juvenile detention, or whatever, any of those things. And they're very common in my field because they're jobs that most people can do. I mean, who can't cook?
Right.
Who can't clean the
They might
dish?
have learned incarcerated
they're-
to actually work in kitchen here.
Yeah.
Because that's like a job that they always want to give out in here. They pay you pennies to feed them. But yeah,
So
that's how that.
I didn't. I just wanted to let you know you're more than welcome. If you need to get something out, you can reach out through Danielle, or wherever you feel comfortable, and we will be glad to be a megaphone for you.
All right, thank you. I appreciate that. And I could probably get your info from Danielle myself also, or you could tell me about me like through core links. So you can reach me also like through emails through core links, but Danielle could explain it to you if you're interested.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yes, that would be fantastic. We would really
Yeah,
like that.
Tamik's I didn't actually Tamik and I had talked prior at one point, but really got to know each other through this campaign, and I was really happy that y'all were open to having him call in because, more than like I think pretty much anybody who's involved in this campaign, I think Tamik makes the connections like completely effortlessly between like why we're doing this work, why it matters. And so I've been really
Thank you.
grateful to work alongside him. He-
Yeah, I would agree that Tamik has made some fantastic points, and thank you, Tamik, for doing all that you're doing while facing all of those obstacles. You do have support. Yeah, we're really happy to have you. It's wonderful to get your perspective, and like Danielle said, you nail all the points on why it's so important that this happens and that people have a voice even though they may have had issues and be incarcerated. It doesn't mean that you don't deserve the right to vote and make your opinion and voice heard. That's really important.
Thank you.
He's blushing. You just can't see it. He's being complimented.
That's okay. That's okay. I am too. I am too, because I'm so thankful for all of the work that you at Decarcerate do, and what Decarcerate Western Mass. As someone like Spence mentioned his background, I have incarcerated formerly incarcerated family members. So I do understand the toll it takes on the community, and I'm just so thankful to be in a place where, although there are people, like I'm sure you said the Biggie was interesting, there are people that will not sign this ballot initiative. I know we are surrounded by and in an area, just based on the people in our audience, that they will sign. So I really just call to action to the audience. If you will sign, reach out to us and we will get your signature, please.
Well, thank you for having us. We really appreciate it.
I think
Yes, please take care, and
everyone else too,
anytime.
all of the outside organizers that have been helping us through it. I really but we couldn't really do it without y'all. So I definitely want to thank y'all too, Danielle and Leslie and everyone else, Marie, even Abby, everybody that's been helping us with this endeavor, because this is hard work.
Mm-hmm. Sure is. Yep. Appreciate that, Tamik.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we were just so glad to have you on, and
Awesome.
anytime.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank y'all.
Well, special thanks to Danielle, Decarcerate, and our guest Tamik, somebody that's on the other side of the wall and organizing to get representation. I mean, it's just impressive. I don't have anything else to say, and I have nothing but solidarity with them, and I want this to happen. And so anybody at home, if you can help, please help, because if they can have a voice, it's more people for our coalition. So Joanna, thoughts before we move on to our everybody's favorite segment?
Very similar thoughts, just like what I said before to the audience. Please, if you haven't been able to sign this, sign for the 3/5 initiative yet, if you haven't had the opportunity, you haven't seen someone out, you haven't been around someone collecting signatures, please email us or contact Decarcerate Western Mass, because someone will find a way to get your signature. I'm sure there are people like myself who might come to you. These are important initiatives based on human rights and being humane, a caring society that includes everyone when we're talking about democracy. And like Danielle said, we've gone back and when we take people's voting rights away. So this should be a no-brainer. I know it might be hard for some people, but I don't think our listeners are those people. So I really hope that everyone listening will really try to get their signature on someone's usually it's like a petition form. So whoever you connect with, please do that if you can. That's my call to action.
Very well said. Thank you, Joanna, for those final thoughts. And it's just been a really sobering time this last week. As we said, with the conflict in the Middle East, we got conflict in Europe, pending conflict in Asia, as always. And it sucks. But we do have our problems here in our backyard. We can be thankful that we don't have rockets flying. It is important to put everything into perspective, but we have 25% of the world's incarcerated, like in actual prisons, not internment camps, not refugee camps, but like on crimes, quote unquote, with 5% of the world's population. So 25% of the total incarcerated and 5% of the world's population.
Well, and like Tamik so eloquently said, it's a business, and that's wrong. That's not right.
It's set up to fail. Once you start tumbling down that path, it's another way to scoop you. And some of us, it's for us working class people, it's the grind of making just enough money and to keep you going back, and they tax the hell out of you. You don't get much services back.
Well, yeah, the fees for just being on parole, the amount of fees that are involved, the call costs, like we talked about, like everything. It's all some of the stuff that you're doing, and once you're out, you're not even doing anything technically wrong. It's just you're poor.
Right.
Like it's just the system is just like you said, it sets you up to it's a revolving door.
And even other things more that aren't always jail time. It depends on your skin tone, I guess. But like DUIs, that shit gets my goat, because if people are getting DUIs, usually you get a couple of them before you go to jail. And I just see somebody with a substance abuse problem and a self-control problem, and I don't see how throwing him in a cage is going to fix that problem.
Well, no, it doesn't. But I think that holds true for any substance abuse issue. And
I know. I'm just thinking of something that's kind of socially acceptable, like to be there's a stigma around heroin and painkillers.
There is, but those people still need help too. And I think often they're dumped into incarceration where they do not get the care they need either. It's like nuts.
You get more strikes with alcohol, in my opinion. You know what I mean? Like you can fuck up.
Oh yeah.
Other drugs, and like regardless, like the person who's hurting is the individual, and then that's hurting their community. So I don't see how a cage solves any of that.
But I'd like to point out something we always talk about too, that like laws change and are really just based on like what, like the law to take away the voting rights in 2000, like Danielle mentioned. And I know you said like alcohol is more acceptable now, but when I was in high school, and I think it was probably until 2000 or 2000 in the early 2000s, it changed. If you had like an ounce, I don't know if it had to be an ounce, it was a certain amount of weed on you, and say you had it in more than like one bag, they could get you on intent to distribute, and it was a minimum of 2.5 years in prison, no matter what.
Oh yeah.
And like that's just for what we can get at dispensaries now. It's wild. So
and depending on who you are, social status wise, they might find a cellophane from a cigarette pack that looks like it has marijuana residue in it, and they can charge you with having multiple bags intended to distribute. So it could even just be
right. That's what I'm saying. Yes, that's how bad it is.
As like I had this friend in college. He got pinched at the New Hampshire border going home, and he spent the night in jail, and they threatened him with all sorts of shit because basically that he was a slob. Like all his wrappers were on the floor, and they charged him with intent to distribute.
Oh my God. But that's what I mean. Like that's what I used to literally be terrified as like a person in my younger 20s. Like if I had and I'm not going to incriminate myself, but if I were to have had in a hypothetical scenario an eighth on me, I would have made for damn sure that I didn't have any other bags, just because at that point,
right,
I'm not going to, no thanks. That was like, you knew that if you weren't even if you were a rich kid, if it's a mandatory minimum, like that's a progressive Massachusetts. I mean, I know it's not anymore, but people were doing time. Like it's just not.
Well, I mean, if you have enough money, and you know how to file motions, you're eventually going to catch a prosecutor sleeping, and there's ways out.
Yeah, maybe, but I'm like, it's just it is to
Yeah.
think back and where we are now. It's kind of a wild thing.
Right. You know, oh, with the, and then, yeah, sorry.
With the weed, with the weed scenario
It's-
now, you know.
Yeah, it's like crime is a construct. It used to be a crime to be a
It's
witch.
such a construct.
It might still
Right.
be a crime to be a witch for all I fucking know. Legal people, please reach out. Wouldn't
Yeah,
be
we need representation.
because honestly, you know, I might be called a witch. I don't know. Like,
I absolutely would be called a witch, but it's fine. You know, all I've got left is being a witch and my looks. So
anyways, all right, everybody. Thank you. This has been a heavy episode, so we're gonna wrap it up, I guess, with some ghoulery and tomfoolery. Joanna, are you ready for the ghoulery and tomfoolery of the week?
always.
Oh boy. Okay, so it is been widely reported, but this is from the Worcester Telegram. I'm pulling this article from. I'm gonna pull it up on the screen because we can, you know. All right. So, Worcester police officer Paul Sear doesn't matter, is awarded a Medal of Valor at state ceremony. So
Ew.
there's a
Why
photo.
is he bald? Why are they all bald? I hate it. I know that you sometimes have to be, but it looks like he shaves his head, like to the baldness factor. I don't like that.
I love
Sorry
that
if you do that.
I love
Sorry
that
if you're someone who does that, but all cops do it, and it just kind of weird.
and like they're not wearing their usual costume, they're wearing their special outfit, their special costume. I decided to stop calling them uniforms and calling them costumes, and it's
Well,
just
doesn't this costume look like the patch is fake if you move your arrow? Like the patch, like his little police patch, it looks almost like
yeah, it's like
it's
so
just
new.
it's like fake. Yeah. Yeah.
Probably made like one for $500 because you know how those contracts work out.
I don't
Anyway,
know why did he get this award?
so if for those listening at home, we're looking at a picture of Maura Healey, the former attorney general and current governor of Massachusetts, aka Top Cop Part 1 and Part 2, the Redux being the head executive. Stop electing cops. For everybody, we need to stop electing cops. Anyways, so she is here pictured genuflecting to another, you know, violent agent of the state, an officer.
Yeah, they're like bowing to each other.
An officer from it's a still frame, all right, you know.
This is funny though.
He's wearing his costume and he's getting his participation trophy.
I can't keep it together. I'm sorry. And I'm sorry I said anything to any of our viewers who shave their head bald to chew their baldness, but
Cops specific.
it makes cops, it makes cops look so much more like scary because of like the connotations behind it.
When you you know,
I don't know. There's just something about it.
Joanna, I know I text this is a theme in our text threads. It's very Mean Girls. Like on Wednesdays we wear pink, and that's cops.
Yeah, like I guess for me it's just like I feel like it's like a secret sign or something, and I'm just like, why are they doing it?
Oh, they're so.
But I guess maybe they don't want to get their hair pulled or something.
They're dramatic.
I shouldn't talk. I don't like to even cut mine, but yeah, I know I hate to like pick on appearances. It's only because it's cops, though.
Do you ever dress in costume with your buddies like that?
I mean, you know that I dress in costume occasionally, personally. Like you do know this. With my buddies, I guess if you and I hang out in costume, I don't know.
Together?
Do we consider what?
Do you have friends you like go LARPing like the cops do?
No.
Playing warrior?
Do you?
No.
No, the most I can assume is like I would think people might think like I like for Halloween is probably my favorite holiday and I like wearing costumes, but like the cop costume is so embarrassing. I would never wear that.
Oh yeah? Why is that?
I don't know. It like being a cop is, you know, kind of the worst thing.
Yeah, it's like
I
really, it's like, you know, the Star Wars, like the guys that can't shoot straight in Star Wars that wear white costumes, like they weren't good guys.
That's what I'm saying. So what did this cop get Valor Awards
Oh
for?
yeah,
Like, what is this?
I
Like
gotta
he's
get
being
this.
knighted?
Couldn't get past. Yeah, he's getting. You know, he's getting it's a participation trophy. You know, it's for bravery, whatever the fuck that means. Like,
So nothing happened to him. It's just like he served a long time, and they're like, "You're so good."
get to the meat of this. So, Worcester police officer Paul E. Sear, lower right, leads a line of honorees into the 40th annual Trooper George L. Hanna Memorial Awards for bravery at Mechanics Hall Tuesday, October 10th, 2023. He was awarded the Medal of Valor at the ceremony. Medal of Valor. Oh my God. Look at hang on. I gotta screen share this again. Oh no, my mouse is being funny. Basically, this is another screenshot. Look at this.
Oh
Look at this.
God, what? No, to these stills. Like, who picks these? Sorry to the editors of Telegram and Gazette, but no.
Well, I know they're doing great. I mean, if this is your way to make them look like Nazis, I mean, killing it. Like, come
I'd be
on.
so mad. I'd be like, really? That's the one you
Can
picked?
you
Okay.
see my cursor on the screen? Can you see look at they got a fucking blue line on the badge.
Oh, that should
That dude's a
not be
fucking
allowed.
Nazi, dude. That's a Nazi.
That should not be allowed. Is that the guy that got the badge? That got the award?
Uh,
I can't.
yes.
Officer,
Oh
yes.
my God. Oh my God.
Oh my
No way.
gosh. So honestly, I feel like contacting the governor with this slide to be like, I would like all police officers to not be allowed to wear the thin blue line.
To deface their
Like
uniform.
did their
That's not our
well
uniform.
deface a taxpayer uniform. It's not even theirs, in my opinion.
But,
So
but
like
they're defacing a costume, our costumes.
their cost, yeah, like that's
Well, there are
that's
costumes to be the people.
yeah, they are, but I don't want him wearing. They should not be allowed to have those. And again, progressive Massachusetts. But since he has a thin blue line flag, I don't feel as bad about being questionable about why he
Oh,
has
look
a
at the
thin
award
head.
for valor. The award for valor has it. Do you see that on the screen?
No, that should be a what is
That's some
happening?
Nazi shit. That is some Nazi shit. Oh my
How
God.
do
This is
how this is unreal. I how is that okay? How I am a little bit
gotta go to
I'm a
our
little bit
you gotta go
speechless here.
and you gotta see this. This is wild. Wow.
I didn't think this was allowed. Like as a I didn't oh wow.
Facing an American flag, the precious little fucking bars and stars.
As oh my.
Anyways,
Holy
Brave-
shit.
this is like a BuzzFeed article. This isn't even an article. Where the fuck was the article I read earlier? Anyways, oh maybe. Anyways, I guess I gotta go find another article. But
Jesus Christ.
dude, the thin blue line being in there, holy shit.
Well, the fact that it was on his weird thin blue line badge, but then it's actually the award, that's insane.
Insane.
Like,
And I think it goes over that little band that goes around. So those listening at home, when they put the thin blue line on their badge, it's like a rubber band that goes around the middle of the badge, and that's generally where their identifying marker would be, like their number or their name or both. So they're using that Nazi symbol to cover up their identifying markers, like of which individual officer it is. It's pretty dark, and that's like you know, because people can go buy a police uniform, but if you're representing not that outfit and you don't actually have the power of the badge, that's a crime. And so thus, like, how do you know if this person is a legal cop or not if they have that covered? Oh my God, so dark. So I can't find the original article I wanted to use, so shame on me for not saving it. but I found something good. From Mass Live, published October 3rd, so a week and a half ago. Mass Governor Healy, cops will get $3.6 million in grants for body cameras. 52 police departments across Massachusetts will share more than $3.6 million in state grant money to pay for new body cameras, Maura Healey's office said Tuesday. The infusion will strengthen police community relations, the Democratic governor said in a statement of the money awarded through the state's law enforcement body-worn camera program. There's a hyperlink there, which is in its third year. The grants provide local police agencies with resources to implement technology that, while improving investigations and advancing the fundamental principles of transparency and accountability, Haley said. The new round of funding will underwrite both the purchase of body cameras and data storage of the footage generated by those cameras. It goes on to provide all the platitudes about transparency. But then it says the cameras will, quote, provide law enforcement agencies with an important tool to improve training and advance best practices, said Secretary of Public Safety and Security, Terrence Reedy, said in the administration's statement. So the reason they like it is because it makes their sloppy police work easier. They don't need to write quality paperwork when they have the body camera footage to fall back on, knowing that they have many protections in place that if they do even get caught doing something stupid, they're good. They also have total control over the data. And in my opinion, when you have a cloud-based service and it's being updated in real time or as close to real time, end of the shift, you're creating a dragnet for ICE to find illegal immigrants or to find unwanted people deemed by the ownership class in the state. So, yeah, this is all very dystopian and bad. And body-worn cameras, if the police want something, no, it's not in our best interest. That's all I have to say about body-worn cameras. Whenever the police are super into it, just know there's an alternate reason they want it. Joanna, thoughts?
So I think we also have, you're completely right there. I think we also have years of data. So 15 years ago, I would have been someone who said, we need body cameras, we need reform. We weren't at the defund point necessarily. Personally, I wasn't there. I may have wanted to abolish prisons, but I didn't even know, actually. I just wanted them gone. But so I think once you look at all of the ways that body cameras have been used against the public, and for the police, the benefit of the police in the end. So it's not just what you said that we're not just saying oh, the cops will just use it this way. There's at least a decade's worth of data that shows they'll do that. And I know people argue oh, well, in the George Floyd, and that we go to that because it was, something that did mobilize people and make people aware of the atrocities that are happening when it comes to policing in the United States. I think that was an important time in America and a horrible atrocity that occurred. But it wasn't the body camera footage that initially sparked people having access to see what really happened. It was a bystander filming the police. And I think that led them to potentially looking at body camera footage. But I just want us to remember that you should be filming the cops. You should be watching the police. You should have the footage of them. Them having a camera on them doesn't necessarily, and oftentimes means the more protections for them. They you see how easy it is in our past episodes for them to not provide you with the information, even if they have it, to just not give you access to the video and the camera footage even. So I just agree, Spence, on this.
Yeah, it's just I think talking about this, even though we agree on the topic, it's interesting to like just point out it's so many reasons it's like flawed. And like every different person, you could have a table full of people that all agree body cameras are a flawed issue. And some will say like, oh no, we absolutely need it, but we should have instant access to it after every shift. And I'm kind of like, even like, why don't we just abolish cops? It sounds like a whole extra work. Just more tech given to cops doesn't like necessarily solve the problem. I guess is like that's my thesis. But you could have 10 people at a table, everybody have a different reason for it, and that's how flawed this is. Everybody will have a criticism for it, and it will all be different. Like I was not anti body camera camera, but like somebody pointed out, like, yo, they control the data, so and then you have to spend time and money to like fight them tooth and nail to get it. The more sensitive the case, the less likely you're going to get it. And they also do this thing, and like Dana Goldblatt, from the lawyer that's representing Marisol in Northampton, the amount of times they manipulate, because they're the ones shooting from their point of view, so they can scream stop resisting while they're pressed up against somebody on the ground, and all the automatic bystander, whether they're local, like actually there, or people watching the footage, it's a manipulation on the audience. So people walking by think like, oh, they're roughing them up because you tried to fight them. You know, they didn't see the initial interaction, but they just see somebody struggling, and so they stay away. You know, maybe they film the police in that scenario. So yeah,
Always film the police if you can.
That's my point. Like I guess what I'm saying is like, none of us came up with this idea like on our own. I've learned this from other people. And like,
yeah, I wanted body cameras like a long time ago. That's why I'm telling the audience, like, it is not wrong to find out new information and decide, you know what, I was wrong about this. My intentions were good. I wanted to protect the community, but it's not going to do that. So we need to change. And I think that's something that we all just have to realize more and more, like in our own lives. Like most of us don't continue to do like violent, horrible things to ourselves on repeat. We try to maybe fix those things and like grow and do better for ourselves. And we should want to do that as a whole, just as a community. So I think it's not outrageous to question these systems and want them to change at all.
Yeah, I just want better outcomes. And we all have different tactics on how we can, I think, value all, we a lot of us share similar values, and we all have different tactics. We have to honor that. Like, I'm kind of a loudmouth, and yeah, some people don't jive with that, and that's okay. I also don't love milk toasty kind of stuff, but I also don't love loudmouths either. Like, you can't be in a room full of loudmouths, but I also don't want to be in a room full of milk toast people that will hem and haw about, you know, an atrocity that we're paying for. You know, i.e. prison abolition. And it's kind of like, no, I think you're a good person, I think you mean well, but you're afraid. And you know, that's one thing, you just gotta stick to your values. And so anybody at home listening, like, there's people on the inside doing this work, and whatever the work may be, everybody do what you can do. I don't really have a solution.
Yeah, and try to help, but try to help your neighbors and community members, your brothers and sisters on the inside. This 3/5 coalition initiative is super important to changing people's lives, really. Like, I know some of us don't vote and we don't think that's important, but these people actually don't have that right even. It's about human rights. So again, my call to action, I'm going to say it until we sign off. Please reach out to us or Decarcerate Western Mass and sign. You heard from Tamik telling you first, first person didn't count of what it's like here just in Hampden County. In Western Massachusetts, a progressive blue state. Imagine what it's like somewhere else even. No one should have to live like that. No one.
We have a say here, and you know, we can yell and scream about what's happening elsewhere in the world. That's also fine, but like, we can make material difference. And if people like Tamik can get up and do it every day, so can you, so can I. And even if it's just when somebody says something borderline, you know, dehumanizing but accepted by society about imprisonment and incarceration, just maybe ask them why, or like, just gently push back. Hey man, like think about it. Like maybe we shouldn't be making sexual assault jokes. Like that's nothing we should wish upon anybody, regardless of how evil they may be perceived to be or be. Like I don't know. That's
Yeah,
just
it's like educating people in your life too, even your right, Spence, because it's like educating them even just about like maybe they don't know how inhumane um the inside of a prison is. And then if you encounter people who think that that's okay, those people aren't your people. I'm sorry. And our audience aren't those people. So thank you.
yeah, thanks to everybody for listening. As always, you can find all the contact information, everything we mentioned on the show at the website, www.theweedout.com. You can always contact us at on our social and via email, theweedout@gmail.com. We appreciate everybody. Special thanks to our guests today, Danielle and Tamik and Decarcerate Western Mass as a whole, all the people that working on this no longer 3/5 coalition stuff, neighbor to neighbor, everybody. Shout out, go listen to our previous episodes with those people and get the word out about the Weed Out. That's all I have to say. So Joanna, thank you very much and look forward to seeing you next time, bud.
You too. Take care, everyone.